Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Santa Ana Comlink virtual meeting. Hopefully, real soon we'll be able to meet together again. But until then, this is our best way of communicating. We have a very interesting meeting scheduled here this evening. And as we start every meeting, I'd like to start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you please kindly put your hand over your heart and follow with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic
which it stands,
one nation,
under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like to also, we have some of our board members with us, but as our board is, Peter Katz is our president, and I'm Carl Benninger, vice president. We have Evangeline Goronsky, who's our secretary. George Collins, board member, Leon Jacob, board member, Terry McAuliffe as board member, and Irma Macia as board member. With that, Lisa, you want to talk about how they can ask questions?
Yeah, so there are a couple of ways for those of you that have joined our meeting to participate. So you can use the raise your hand function. So if you have anything to say during the meeting, or if you have any questions, use that feature. You can also ask a question in the question and answer box. So you can use that. So we'll be monitoring the question and answer box and the raise your hands throughout the meeting.
And also mention that tonight we're on channel 3. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so we're broadcasting on channel 3 and on YouTube. And then for those of you that are dialing in only, so if you're dialing in, dial *9 to raise your hand, and then dial *6 to unmute yourself. So we'll call you, and then you'll be able to unmute yourself by dialing *6. We also have Spanish interpretation available, so you'll be able to access that by using the little globe, clicking on the globe, and then selecting the language that you want to listen to, which would be Spanish. That's all. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Lisa. We're going to start off with a couple of announcements. First, we're going to have Melanie McCann talk about our general environmental justice forums. Melanie?
Sure. Thank you. Go ahead, click another round. Thank you. So I just wanted to give a quick update about our general plan. As you know, we've been working on that for the last few years, and it's a long-term planning document to guide the quality of life in Santa Ana, our economic health, sustainability, and it's built on the values listed at the bottom of the screen, which are culture, sustainability, health, education, and equity. So we have draft elements, but at this point, we're, if you can go to the next slide, we're rolling out another round of outreach, and this outreach is focused on our environmental justice communities. It includes essentially 17 census tracts and about 21 neighborhoods. The area in pink are the areas that are in our disadvantaged or environmental justice areas. And the yellow splashes of color are where we are planning to have our neighborhood meetings to pull together folks from those areas. Next slide. So this outreach will be from March through May, and it will be, as I mentioned, include 10 environmental justice neighborhood meetings. A couple of neighborhoods will be grouped together for a total of 10 meetings. We're also just went live with a survey related to environmental justice. Again, we're particularly focusing on those environmental justice areas, those disadvantaged areas, if you will, but anyone's welcome to complete the survey. Survey is available online, English, Spanish, and Vietnamese, and also hard copies for those that need that. Our first meeting will be kicked off with the Artesia Pilar Flower Park neighborhood on March 30th at 6:30, so we're looking forward to that. Next slide. So as always, we encourage you to look at our general plan website, which is the first line there. You can email us or call us with any questions or suggestions. And we look forward to more conversation with the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Melanie, very much. Our second announcement is going to come through Public Works, and they're developing a neighborhood block beautification program. And Nabil, you want to discuss it?
Sure. I just want to make sure that you see my website.
Beautiful.
Yes.
We do.
Good evening, President and members of the board of ComLink. Tonight, I would like to present to you a new initiative to beautify our neighborhoods and community by introducing the Neighborhood Block Beautification Contest. This contest is friendly and fun and is meant to bring and build pride into our community. The contest is designed to encourage and promote community involvement in keeping Santa Ana a beautiful place to live, work, and play. The acronym for it is NBBC. The NBBC will recognize and reward residents of winning neighborhood blocks whose properties reflect their community pride and have an aesthetically pleasing appearance. All residents are encouraged to participate. Residents within the neighborhood block will be asked to assign a block coordinator who will be responsible for ensuring eligibility requirements are met, that eligibility requirements are met, and for submitting the block entry form. Entries will be judged by the Environmental Transportation Advisory Commission members. The city manager, public works director, and the corresponding council members will recognize 3 winning neighborhood blocks per ward with the installation of a signage and gift certificates to the participants. We have created this microsite within our site with website in the city of Santa Ana, main website that describes the criteria for the competition or the contest. The way you get to it is, let me just quickly show you to go to City Hall, City Department, and then go to Public Works, and you click on the Neighborhood Block Beautification Contest, and here it is. So thank you for the support, and I am very excited about this initiative, and I hope that you support me in promoting it. Thank you.
Thank you, Nabil.
Thank you.
So Carl, just to segue Nabil's presentation, we have Alyssa Ventura from our team who wanted to make a quick announcement regarding the Most Beautiful Yard program, if that's all right. And I think you're saying that's all right, even though I can't hear you, but okay. All right.
Hi, everyone. So we will be kicking off the Most Beautiful Yard Awards for 2021. Last year, we were not able to due to the pandemic. And I have displayed the 2019 winners. So that's the latest, but we will be sending out a letter to all neighborhood leaders to request for nominations for Most Beautiful Yard in your neighborhood. So please expect those letters to be coming in April, the first week of April. And then you'll have until the end of April to submit nominations. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Alyssa. All right, Carl, we're back to you.
Okay. We're very honored to have Kristine Ridge, our city manager, who is going to introduce the city budget presentation, which she's been working very hard on, among the other things. He's been very busy at City Hall this last year. So Christina, do you want to take it from there?
Certainly. Thank you. Thank you for that introduction, and thank you for inviting me to speak tonight, and for giving our city staff the opportunity to share some really important information with the community. I am happy to report that things are starting to look up in regards to the pandemic. Our COVID-19 case rates are down. The vaccination is becoming more widely available. And just today, the governor was right here in Santa Ana for a press conference with our mayor, where he announced some very exciting news. So effective April 1, anyone who's over the age of 50, I'm in that category, will be able to get vaccinated. And on April 15th, all Californians age 16 and older will be eligible for vaccinations. So now we as a city are beginning to look ahead of what's next, and we have some big decisions to make. The city budget and strategic plan are important tools for shaping our city's future. And on top of that, the city of Santa Ana expects to receive about $143 million from the Federal American Rescue Plan Act that was just signed by our president. The city council and I see this as an opportunity to really rethink how we do business and provide services to our constituents. This money not only will give additional financial relief to residents and businesses, but also we can accomplish a lot of other things with these dollars. So under the leadership of your council, we have a lot of big ideas for it, and we are very eager to make a comprehensive plan. And today, that's where you all come in. Our Executive Director of Finance and Management Services, Kathryn Downs, or who we call Kat, she's going to give you a presentation and an overview of our city budget, our strategic plan, and how that federal stimulus money might be used. Then she's going to answer some questions and ask for your ideas and your feedback. As we roll out more and more community outreach on this, please help us spread the word to your neighbors and local organizations. Community participation is an essential part of a fair and transparent local government. And the more voices we hear from, the better that we're able to serve everybody. So thank you in advance for all you do to helping us make Santa Ana better for everyone. So thank you very much.
Kristine. I'll go ahead and take it from here. So I'm Kathryn Downs, or Kat, and thank you to the Comlink board for allowing us to make this presentation to comply with the city's sunshine ordinance. I appreciate that. And so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And hopefully you see my PowerPoint, yes?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I have 4 main topics for you this evening: a quick overview of the city's current year budget, a peek into next year's budget, the updates to strategic plan goals, and the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. Now that's that $143 million that the city manager was talking about. We're very excited. The city's current year adopted budget includes $695 million of revenue. More than half of it is restricted. This means the city can only spend it on specific items. Nearly half of the restricted money comes from grants and allocations from other government agencies. 18% is related to water billings. And the remainder of restricted revenue sources include self-restrictions like the cannabis tax set-aside fund, the internal resources that we use for insurance, technology, and equipment. The unrestricted portion of revenue is deposited into the city's general fund. This means that we can spend the money for any city service. Property tax and sales tax accounts for 57% of our unrestricted revenue. Other locally levied taxes are listed here and were approved by the city's voters. The City Council adopted a budget or spending plan, as shown here. Outside of the general fund, the city supports affordable housing, makes improvements to its infrastructure, roadways, storm drains, public facilities, and provides water, sewer, and trash service. Let's take a closer look at the general fund. More than half is spent on public safety, which includes police and fire. The city also maintains the public right-of-way and public facilities, manages and enforces land use laws, and provides community programs such as recreation and homeless services. The debt service listed here includes city facilities and the debt to the employee pension plan. Only 6% of the general fund budget is used for governance and administration, which includes my department, finance. On February 16th, we provided a mid-year budget update to the City Council. When the budget was first adopted in July of last year, we expected several tax revenue sources to decrease as a result of the pandemic. Business tax, hotel visitors tax, and fee revenues have definitely decreased. Sales tax and cannabis tax have done better than expected, thanks to online sales. At the beginning of the fiscal year, we expected to use $18.6 million of the general fund balance to maintain existing service levels. Since a couple revenues have done better than original estimates, we now expect to use only $10.9 million. Finally, we had originally planned to end the year with a $52.3 million general fund balance. Our estimate has been revised to $70.9 million, which is roughly $14 million more than our minimum reserve requirement. The City Council recently updated its reserve policy, requiring the city to keep a balance equivalent to about 18% of general fund revenue to provide for emergencies and cash flow.
Excuse me, Kathryn, this is Margarita.
Yes.
We just wanted to ask if you could go at a slower pace, a little bit slower.
Sure, you got it.
For NARCY. Okay, thanks so much.
Okay. So my expectations for next year's budget are listed here. I think it'll continue to be difficult to maintain current service levels and balance the budget. I expect tax revenues will increase, but not fully recover from the impacts of the pandemic. Employee compensation will increase by about $7 million due to the previously negotiated labor agreements. The Orange County Fire contract will increase. The pension debt payment is scheduled to increase by $5.7 million. We're in process right now of trying to get that refinanced at a lower rate, which could help offset the increase. And finally, the city has some troubled enterprises that are not bringing in enough revenue to offset the cost to operate. And this, of course, includes the Santa Ana Regional Transit Center and the parking enterprise downtown. Next, I would like to cover the city's strategic plan goals. The 5 categories of priorities are listed here: financial stability, community safety, modern facilities and infrastructure, efficient city services, and economic diversification and expansion. The financial stability priority includes goals for balanced budget, development, and modernize. The community safety priority includes goals that provide a safe environment for residents and visitors while reducing crime and addressing the impacts of homelessness. On February 12th, the City Council added a goal for school partnerships. The modern facilities and infrastructure priority includes master planning and a new goal to bridge the digital divide. The modern facilities and infrastructure priority includes master planning. The efficient city services priority includes goals for technology modernization, effective and efficient policies and processes, and communication and outreach. The economic diversification and expansion priority includes goals to enhance the city's economic vitality. The City Council recently added goals to address housing challenges and parks, open space, and amenities. For fiscal year 21-22, the coming year, all department budget requests will be measured against these cities' strategic plan goals. So I'm planning to put a survey on the city's website to obtain public input that will help with the budget process this year. For tonight, I'm going to test a little bit out on you guys and start with 3 questions to get your input on strategic plan goals. So Margarita, if you could load the first question. Great. So what is the best way for the city to improve public safety? Now, since we have multiple choices here, we want you to select up to 3. So again, the best way for the city to improve public safety. So we'll wait a couple minutes for those answers to come in. Alyssa, I don't see anybody voting. I see 0 out of 37% have voted.
Yeah, so.
Oh, here we go.
They should, yeah,
Oh,
they should be allowed to vote.
it's unclear on how to activate it.
Yeah, so there's 3 questions.
Do you click on the wording? Is that what it is?
Oh, so it seems like everyone, like they have to answer all 3 questions before it gets submitted to us.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for the clarification on the chat. So Thomas Morrissey, try answering all questions before you submit. It seems like that's how you can get your answers submitted.
Where do you click to activate the response?
Try clicking on the wording. And I know there's some hands raised. Kat, did you want questions now or towards the end of your presentation?
I'd actually like to take questions at the end.
Okay.
Thank you.
So those of you that have your hands raised, we will answer your questions at the end. Thank you for your patience. And it seems like everyone answered.
Okay, great.
So would you like me to share the results?
Oh, yes, please.
Okay. So here are the results.
Okay. Alyssa, will you capture this for me? Because I definitely want these results.
Yeah, I'll send you the
Perfect.
Excel sheet after the meeting.
Okay, perfect. So that was the first question. And now that we've got a little bit better idea on how to do this, let's go ahead and launch the second question.
Oh, so it launched all 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so what is the best way for the city to improve public safety?
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so it looks like homeless response was number 1.
Mm-hmm.
With number 2, crime prevention programs and school partnerships. And then what is the most pressing recreational need for the city? So it looks like the top one was improve, update existing park facilities.
Okay.
2nd was increase open space.
Okay.
Those were the major top two. And then the third question, what is the biggest obstacle to internet access in your community? And looks like there's a tie. Affordability of available internet service and digital literacy.
Okay, great. Well, thank you. I think we can go ahead and move along.
Okay.
Is the poll down and people can see my PowerPoint or no?
They should be able to.
Okay.
There we go.
All right. So you've probably all heard the president signed the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan Act on March 11th. The city expects to receive $143 million of that federal stimulus package. So far, we only have high-level descriptions of what the city can spend the money on. That includes response to the public health emergency, providing government services to the extent of city revenue losses, and making infrastructure improvements. The city will be able to build a proper spending plan once we have detailed guidelines from the Fed. But we're busy already pulling together our list based on input that we've received from the City Council as well as the departments. I expect to receive the first half of the $143 million by May 10th. And I'm guessing our detailed spending guidelines will be released around the same time. So as the city manager mentioned, the mayor and city council are pulling together a plan to revive Santa Ana. This is a commitment to protect and assist the community as we emerge from the pandemic. 5 key areas of spending have been identified to revive Santa Ana: COVID recovery, assistance programs, public health and safety, infrastructure, and the city's fiscal health. So with that, I have 2 more poll questions for you, and I promise that's it, but I really do want your input. So this is initial feedback for the Revive Santa Ana plan. If you could go ahead and load the next question, or load the next set of questions, which there should be 2. Okay, so the first question, what is the best way for the city to address its housing challenges? And the second question, which of the following should be the top priority for the city's use of federal stimulus funding? On this one should go quicker because you only have to select 1 each. Now, of course, the survey that I plan to put out on the city's website will have more questions than this. So this was just a quick little sampling for you tonight. Well, it looks like we have most of the people who voted. Why don't we go ahead and close the poll and show the results?
Okay.
Thank you.
So here are the results. So it
Okay.
looks for the first question, what is the best way for the city to address its housing challenges? It looks like increase affordable housing in Santa Ana was number 1. And then for question number 2, which of the following should be the top priority for the city's use of federal stimulus funding, financial relief to businesses, workers, and residents was number 1 for that.
Okay. Great, thank you. All right. So with that, for my final slide, I've identified the next steps in the budget process this year. On March 16th, the City Council gave us some early direction for the budget. Next up is the City Council Budget Workshop session on May 4th. And we hope to have the budget adopted by June 15th in time for the beginning of the new fiscal year that starts on July 1st. So that concludes my prepared presentation. Thank you for your patience and your feedback tonight. I want to go ahead and answer your questions, but just ahead of time, if I do not get to your question tonight, or you think of another question later on, please feel free to email me. I've listed my email address right here on the slide. I want to hear from you, and I will definitely take the time to respond to you. So with that, can I go ahead and get the questions? I don't know how you want to handle this, Margarita and Alyssa.
Yeah, so the Q&A box, so it looks like someone's trying to disrupt the meeting, but there's nothing on there, but we do have a couple of hands raised. So
All right.
Martha Serrano. Martha, if you can unmute yourself and ask your question. And then we have Danny and Lupita Ramirez will go next. Martha, if you can unmute yourself.
No, yo no.
Okay.
Gracias.
Okay.
Gracias, Marta.
Okay.
So it looks like next, Desi Reyes. Go ahead, Desi. What's your question?
Okay, good morning, good evening. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'm Desi with Saddleback View neighborhood. Nice to see you all, staff, Comlink members, everybody that seems to be doing great. So my couple of comments is under community safety component. It's been years that Public Works as a city has kind of failed or forgotten about putting addresses on curbs, on resident curbs. As I go around, I'm a real estate agent showing properties. It's difficult to find addresses. Sometimes the homes don't have it. Many times the homes don't have the addresses on the houses, and the curbs are faded. It's not only an inconvenience if you're looking for, an address at night, but also it's a safety issue, I think, for emergency vehicles to locate a property. I know in the past when I was on ETAC 8 or 10 years ago, the city went around neighborhoods. I guess they hired nonprofits to go around and put the addresses on the curbs. So it's been a while. I mean, mine is faded. My whole neighborhood is faded. So maybe this time around with some money in the budget, you can work that out.
Thank you.
One more item is as part of the my Santa Ana app. I don't know if this is the right time to address it, but I use it all the time. As I walk to 4th Street, 3 miles, I'm constantly using it on sidewalks. Anything that I see, mattresses, and the response is excellent, I think. So perhaps Public Works or Comlink can come up with a program to attract businesses to maybe contribute to a contest to have people use it more and track it, and whoever uses the most gets a price per neighborhood. That's a thought there, because I use it all the time. Again, as I go down 4th Street, showing properties I get off the street, and the service is amazing. I'm going to give you kudos to that. So
Okay.
that's my input. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Let's see, Alyssa, who else do we have on? I saw there's a question posted on the Q&A box from Virginia.
Yes.
So her question, Kathryn, is where do expenses for climate change mitigation and resiliency fit, or are they included?
We do have some restricted money that that is for air quality projects. It doesn't specifically address climate change per se, but more the impacts of pollution and other contributors to air quality. Other than that, we don't really have anything else in our budget for climate change.
And I think Michelle Michaela from Public Works has her hand raised, and I think she probably wants to respond to
Okay.
Desi's question. So
Great.
go ahead, Michelle.
I believe I may have inadvertently raised my hand, but are you referring to the question about the curb?
No, it
No.
was, we have a question about whether there's anything in our budget that addresses climate change.
Not that I'm aware of. But I can check with Nabil and see if there's something that we're looking at and get back
The
to
only thing that
Margarita.
the only thing that I could think of was AQMD money for air quality projects. Okay.
There is a question in the chat room from Cynthia. And it says, do you have any idea of the American Rescue Plan funds allow the city to create more green space in the city?
We're certainly hoping so. That is one of the items that's on our list that we're building. But the general guidelines that have been provided, it doesn't indicate that. We're just hoping that when we see those detailed guidelines that come from the federal government, that we'll have more guidance on that. But that is something that we are definitely hopeful of, and we have it on our list.
Question that I have concerns the jail and police headquarters. One, when is that debt going to be retired, which will save the city lots of money? Number one. And number two, is the jail paying for itself now?
Yeah, I got that question recently in public, and I made a gaffe on it, but I'll get it right tonight. So the last payment on the jail debt is in 2024. So we've got a couple more years of it, and the jail, it definitely has the potential to, I'll call it break even, if you will. There is a final module that needs to be opened, but we're looking for staffing for that. If the final module is opened, it will come very, very close to break even between the revenue and the operating expense. Now, of course, that doesn't include the debt payment, which we only have a couple more years on. But basically, jail operations are somewhere around $20 million, and current revenue is around 16. And with the final mod, we would expect an increase to the revenue that may bring us very close to break even.
Retiring that debt would bring how much money? How much is
Well,
that?
the debt itself is close to 9 million, but that's for the entire police facility. The amount that's allocated to the jail, from what I understand, is closer to about 3 million.
Gotcha. Thank you. George, do you have any questions?
I am monitoring the chat right now. I am paying attention at this point. I don't, because I'm kind of focused on the chat area. So thank you very much.
Do we have any other questions out there for Kathryn?
We do. We have one on the question box. What about the homeless situation? our streets and sidewalks are flooded with trash and people sleeping on the sidewalks. They make our city look very bad. So I think you addressed that, Kathryn, right, in your
Yes.
presentation.
Yeah, we do have some money in the budget to address the impacts of homelessness. But that is another item that is on our list for the American Recovery Plan Act. And we believe that there is a strong nexus between the pandemic and the effects of homelessness. So we're very optimistic that we will be able to allocate some money towards that when we see those detailed spending guidelines.
We
Okay,
just in the chat area got a message from Jenny. I have it. She says she has a question. Jenny, please press your raise hand and
go ahead, Jenny. Go ahead, Jenny. Okay, I guess she's unable to speak, so. All right, let's go to Thomas.
Where's my
Okay,
where,
so I
where's
think,
my Ali where's my Elisa? I found love.
so I think Jenny is a hacker.
Follow me, darling, just try.
can we cut them
Okay.
off?
Yeah, we just removed Jenny.
Good.
So apologize for that disruption, but looks like people are interested in this meeting. All right, so here we go to Thomas Morrissey. Is there any guidance from the federal government on when the grant expires? Oh, good question.
Yes, we have to spend the money by December 2024.
December 2024. Okay, thank you for that clarification. Let's move on the question box. Would the city be able to use some of these new funds to create a sanitation agency that would include trash and recycling programs, similar to New York City's sanitation department? Huh.
Well, we do already have a sanitation program. As far as can we use some of these new monies for that? If there's a nexus to, a connection with COVID, the impacts of COVID, I think that we could allocate some money to that. But even more so, beyond the federal money, the city is going to be renegotiating its waste hauling contract here real soon. And as part of those renegotiations, there might be an opportunity to develop a little bit more robust program for the city.
Okay, thank you, Kathryn. And then we have Danny Ramirez, Danny and Lupita Ramirez. Hello, I'm representing the PFO from Franklin. They're the school parent group there. When looking at the homeless issue, can we please target areas closer to the schools? So that is some feedback that we're getting from school parent groups, closer to the schools in terms of the homeless issue and concerns.
Okay.
Okay, so George Collins, you have a question?
Yes, I do. And watching all the news and what's going on with Texas and the forecast of 1.2 million immigrants coming in this year, what's the city going to do to protect the low-income jobs that the city has and possibly accompany 10,000 new residents to the city?
Well, that's quite a question. I know that as part of the CARES program, we did provide some business assistance to help keep some businesses open in the city here. I know that there is interest in having a phase 2 with this new federal money, if you will, for business assistance. And that would be the best way to generate jobs or to preserve jobs in the city. And then as far as the, what was the second part? Not just the business, but what else?
Well, the concern that I'm understanding is there are people being transferred to California now, and obviously Santa Ana is a hotspot. So if we get an influx of 5,000 to 10,000 people that don't have jobs and we don't have residents for them, what's the city doing to, in essence, to protect the people already here?
That is a good question. And I honestly really don't know the answer to it, but I can certainly talk to the city manager about that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we suggest or we recommend if people can type their questions on the Q&A box, that helps us to follow it. I did want to check with Paul on the YouTube if there are any questions or comments relevant to the budget presentation tonight that you're getting on the YouTube chat. Go ahead, Paul.
Hi, Margarita. No, we don't actually have any right now. We have a couple people who had asked about participating. They were on the chat here, but they have not posted any questions yet.
Okay. Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome.
Okay, and we have a follow-up question from Thomas. Will the grant be allocated? And I think you covered part of this too, Kathryn. Will the grant be allocated to the city in a lump sum or another way, such as applications for reimbursement? So the processing of the this funding.
Sure, good question. So we will get an advance of 50% no later than 60 days after it was signed into law. It was signed into law on March 11th. So by May 10th, we will receive the first 50%. The remainder of it, we will receive no earlier than 1 year after our first half. So that means that we'll get our second half no earlier than May 10th of 2022. And we may not get that entire second half. We think that with the guidelines that'll come out, we might see more information about having to offer documentation to get reimbursements out of that second, what we call second tranche of money.
Okay. And we have an additional question from Virginia. What agency in the city facilitates connecting workers seeking work and potential workers, both business and homeowners? So let me repeat this again.
That would be the Community Development Agency.
I do have a question. Tax revenue from marijuana sales. Is it on target, above target? And what do you see for next year?
It's above target. Let's see here. I can give you some specific numbers. That's the nice part about doing these. Oh, I just had the lights turned out on me. That's the one nice thing about having access to my computer. Okay, so, oh my goodness, here we go. Yeah. So for the adult use retail cannabis, we had originally thought that our budget was going to be closer, our estimate was closer to 10 million for just the adult use retail portion. Last year's revenue was close to 11 million. But the way the receipts are coming in for this year, we think it might actually be closer to 17 million. And that's just the adult use retail portion. We also receive medical marijuana taxes. And last year, our actual was about 700,000. And it looks like we may come in closer to about 1.1 million for that. And then we do take in a little bit of tax money from commercial cannabis business. So this would be like cultivation, distribution, those kinds of things. And last year, that was about 750,000 of revenue. And that's looking like it's going to be closer to about 1.2 million this year. So our cannabis tax is definitely doing better than what we expected and better than last year. I'm gonna try to get my light back on.
Okay, and as you're doing that, We have three questions from Erica Gonzalez. And the first one, Kathryn, is, would it be possible to offer childcare vouchers and assistance to residents? Also, I would recommend a water bill forgiveness program to help residents that are past due on their water bill. Also, lastly, when will more details surrounding the programs be available, and how can we give more detailed feedback and recommendations on how to use those resources? And lastly, from Erica, she is also suggesting a funeral reimbursement fund be created for residents who are impacted by COVID deaths in our community. Thank you, Erica, for those three important questions and suggestions.
Yeah, absolutely. And then as far as when we'll have more details, or when you'll be able to provide more public input, this process of building this spending plan, it will run concurrently with the budget process, but separate of the budget process, because this is very important one-time money. And as we heard from Mayor Sarmiento the other night, he wants us to do this very carefully, very thoughtfully, and get it right. And so that's what we plan to do. And anytime that we are going to bring something back to City Council for consideration on this topic, it will be during a public City Council meeting. So watch those agendas. And I think Paul can probably do some social media blasts to let people know that the City Council will be discussing the American Recovery Plan Act money, so that we can take in even more public comment. And again, I'm hoping to put a survey out on the city's website that'll help us gather public input as well. So thank you for all of those comments.
And we have another question from Earl Schmidt. It's regarding cannabis. Do you, and I know you talked about this earlier, Kathryn. He's asking if the city expects taxes to go down as other cities allow dispensaries to open.
You know, that's an interesting question. I don't have a very good answer for it, other than to say that it is entirely possible. I know that I have heard at least one city council member from the dais say during a public meeting that they are interested in revisiting our rates to keep them competitive with other cities. So that may be something that we're going to be looking at. It depends on the level of interest and the activity that we're seeing. So it's a good question. It's something that we've been thinking about and concerned about, but it's very difficult to answer that question because cannabis has not been as predictable as what we thought it would be. And so we've been surprised at just about every turn.
There is a question from the YouTube chat, and it's from Isabella Lopez. And the question is, what about persons that are behind on their rent, but aren't able to pay their rent starting next month because of rent increases? We do have programs for rent assistance right now, correct?
We do. We actually have quite a bit of money dedicated to that. I know that we have it outside of the CARES money and outside of this American Recovery Plan money. We had another $40.7 million of restricted money that came in from emergency services and additional community development block grant money to help out with housing programs and rental assistance. So we do have a lot of money available with that. And I know that our community development agency is managing several programs on that front. Do I think that more money will be assigned to rental and housing assistance from this new federal $143 million allocation? That'll be up to the city council. It is certainly a valid use of the money.
And who should she contact at City Hall?
The Community Development Agency and let's see here. I might be able to just, certainly if you just call the City Hall mainline phone number and ask for the Community Development Agency, that will get you to the right place, and then you can go from there. Or you could specifically ask for housing assistance, and they'll get you to the right folks. And City Hall phone number, of course, is 714-647-5400.
Let's see, Paul Eakins, you have your hand up.
Yeah, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Great. Yeah, thank you to Isabel Lopez for asking that question on the YouTube chat. Yeah, just following up with what Kat said. I'm going to post in the YouTube chat the link to our rental assistance program information, and I'll put it in the chat on Zoom as well for everyone. So if anyone is, there are programs out there. A lot of our CARES programs have ended at the end of last year, but we do have a rental assistance program. If you've been affected financially by the pandemic, you can apply for up to $5,500 to get help paying rent. So, and there are other resources too, but that's a good place to start. So I will post some links to these things in our chats here so that everyone can get access to that.
Very good. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul. Okay, so we have another question. It's in Spanish, so I'll give Narcy a little break. I'll read it in Spanish and I'll translate it in English. So Araceli is asking, no toda la gente hace las encuestas en internet. ¿De qué otra manera harán llegar la encuesta a capturar la respuesta de la comunidad y así tomar mejores decisiones? So Araceli is asking, or her comment is that not all people do surveys online on the internet. And how else will the survey be available and capture the community's responses and that way help the city make better decisions? Yeah. Thank you, Araceli. Gracias.
One of the options that I'm looking at for the survey as well is a good old-fashioned method, which is paper in our lobby. So because I'm very aware that not all of our residents use the internet regularly or at all. And so we want to make sure that there is a low-tech option available to all. So I would say by mid-April, within a couple weeks, come visit City Hall and you should be able to pick up a paper survey form.
Sí, Araceli está diciendo que las encuestas van a estar disponibles en City Hall como en los medios de abril. Van a tener copias imprimidas en papel para que la comunidad pueda llenarlo y entregarlo. And they could turn it in there, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Van a estar disponibles en City Hall. Gracias, Araceli, por la pregunta. Thank you. Okay, so that's Araceli. Let's see where else. If anybody else has a question, please type it in. It's helping us to manage the Q&A section a little bit better. Or Comlink board members, if any of you have any follow-up questions for Kathryn Downs. I know one question that we get, Kathryn, is that the material is available on the city's budget page, right? The presentation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That is correct. And the way that you get that is you go to the city's homepage, and across the top, there's City Hall, and then right underneath is city budget. So you can go straight to it.
Okay, great. Okay, so I don't see any other questions on the Q&A box.
Okay.
Oh, we do have one more from Danny and Lupita Ramirez. We are seeing an increase in graffiti in the 92704 area. Is there anything in place to educate the community on how to place the calls?
Okay. I know that we have, just as the gentleman earlier was discussing, we do have the My Santa Ana app, but you could call City Hall as well. I know that the app for a smartphone works very, very well. Is there anybody else? Michelle, do you want to pipe in on that for Public Works?
Certainly. If you have any issues in our city, please, you can report them to the Public Works dispatch number, which is 714-647-3380, or you can email pwa-dispatch@santa-ana.org, or on the city's website, on the homepage, there's a blue ribbon that says report issues. So if you have any type of issue, whether it be potholes, trees that need to be trimmed, illegal dumping, or if it's homeless encampments, you can report it. But also we have the free My Santa Ana app that you can download if you have a smartphone, such as an iPhone or Android. And it's so easy. For example, once you download the app, if you see graffiti, all you need to do is open the app, take a picture, and send it to us. It's that simple and easy, and it's free. So help us keep Santa Ana beautiful and report all issues immediately.
Okay, great. Thank you. And let's see, we had a comment from Desi Reyes promoting the Santa Ana app. Very quick response, excellent tool. So yes, I think we always have an opportunity to do more of the education, but I know Mr. Ramirez, with the Franklin School, I mean, there's always potential to help, enhance, usage of the reporting at the school level. I know that's one thing that we can follow up with your school on, since we met recently with your team. So thank you. Araceli. Okay, so we have another question from Araceli, and let me go over. Before I go to Araceli's question, Comlink board members, any last questions? If not, we do have an announcement just concluding the budget presentation, but that's part of just the community announcements section. Okay, then let's go to Araceli's question. So she's asking, ¿pueden colaborar con los diferentes lugares donde están repartiendo comida y repartan las encuestas y así tener más participación de la comunidad? Es preocupante que se tomen decisiones con muy poca participación cuando todos somos afectados o beneficiados. Gracias. So Araceli's saying, can you collaborate, with the different places where they have food distribution drives and distribute the surveys there? And that way you have more participation from the community. It concerns her, that the decisions are made with very little participation through the surveys when we all are affected, or we're all benefiting from what's going to happen, with the surveys. So that's an observation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
I
you.
think that's a
Gracias.
fantastic idea, and we'll do what we can on that front. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. All right, so I think that covers it, Kathryn. Thank you for being available and for being able to answer a lot of questions. More to come, right? So all right, so let's go into our community announcements. So let's see, and let me remove you, Michelle, as a spotlight. Hold on, sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Oh, great. Now we've got
Oh,
nice.
It's like an elevator.
Okay, so let's get here we go. So we have Joel. Let's see, Joel, are you on the call? He's from Waste Management, and let's see if he's on here. Alyssa, can you check if he's on?
As a panelist?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me see. Yes, I see him.
All right. Someone's having fun. Okay, Joel. Go ahead. And do you wanna share your screen, Joel? Because
I don't have it on this computer
okay.
here. I do apologize.
All right. So go ahead and talk about it, because that way people know about it's a job fair, right? You were saying it's a job fair.
Yes. Yeah, you were able to. You had it right now for a few seconds.
I sure did.
So good evening, everyone. First and foremost, thank you, Comlink board and Margarita and team for giving me a few minutes to just make a brief announcement. For those that don't know me, my name is Joel Robledo, and I'm the district operations manager at Waste Management here on Grand Avenue. For anyone that may be interested, we will be holding a virtual hiring event in partnership with the Santa Ana Work Center. The hiring event will be via the Zoom platform. And the event will be held April 1st at 1 p.m. So if any, if
Can you guys see the screen?
Yes.
All right, good.
Okay,
So it's a
so-
great thing. It's a job fair and they're working with our work center, our Santa Ana Work Center, which is part of our community development agency.
Correct. So the event is on the 1st, which I believe is next week. So I welcome everybody to join, listen in.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you, Joel, for that
Thanks, Margarita.
information.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. And then one last question, and I'm not sure who would answer this. And maybe Danny, since you've been, if you can elaborate on your question, Danny, on the buyback spray can.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, you know what? Just an idea because I mean I was raised in Santa Ana and I do see the graffiti and going through school and also now as a teacher, like we've done very little to have incentives for kids not to tag, So maybe if we do like a buyback, spray can. I mean, if we have some kind of program, and obviously, if we can get a few spray cans out of the hands of the kids, that's more than anything. It's a message that we're trying to push that we can keep our city beautiful. And the gifts can be, for example, toys to the kids, or maybe a gift card, $5 gift card. For anybody that brings a spray can. I mean, and maybe more than the reward, monetary reward. It's like the message that we want to show to the community that it's important that the families check on their homes. I mean, as a parent, if your child has a spray can or not, because all you have to do is check their backpacks. But if something like that, just as a motivation more than anything for families to bring spray can and get a little $5 gift card for a fast food restaurant or a toy for the children or something like that.
Okay, well, that's something that we can share. I know, I mean, it's more of an incentive program, right? If we're gonna have some new funding and we're trying to make our city beautiful, this might be one way to help deter the graffiti by offering that incentive, but to the kids, right, through the schools or.
Yeah, and maybe,
Okay.
I mean, as Franklin, we're willing to
Pilot.
test it, pilot and see,
Pilot.
I mean, if we get, 5 cans out of the hands of youth, I mean, that's 5 cans that are not taken up our city, which could be more costly.
Yeah.
If they tag something that requires, $100 to fix it.
Yeah, and we have a comment from Rose saying that, that there is lots of graffiti, trash, and, you scare good tenants who've been living there. So, okay.
So
All right,
Franklin's
very good.
open to do
Franklin
something
will
like that.
pilot. Okay,
Yeah.
that sounds great. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, so Carl, I just wanted to turn it back to you to close it out. And
Well, first I want to wish everybody a very happy Easter. We will meet again on April 22nd, will be our next meeting. And those that have not gotten your vaccine shot, please go and get your vaccine shot. I took my oldest daughter up to Cal Poly today because she used the app My Turn, which worked out very well for her. But you not only protect yourself, but people around you. So please don't listen to all the hearsay and all the misinformation out there. It is safe. They're very effective. I love every news media that says the vaccines may not be effective. They are effective against all the strains. So please get them and make yourself and your family safer. So with that, we are done this evening. I want to thank you, Michelle, and everyone else from the city that joined in tonight. And with that, good evening, and we'll see you next month.
good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.